Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys. Okay, before I start the presentation about the novel, let me introduce myself first. My name is Wiwid Widiawati. I am a student of State Islamic Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta, and I am from Department of English Education, Faculty Tarbiyah and Science. Okay, guys, on this occasion, I will review one of the book that I have read before. The title of this book is The Lesson She Told Me by Linda Green. Okay, in the first chapter of this book, Nicola arrived at her grandmother's house because the old woman is dying. She is the only one of her family who is there. Her brother Justin is in Ireland, and even though she called her mother and her mother was refused to go, it seems that something happened between mother and daughter, and the relationship has been distant to say the least. After talking to her mother on the phone, Nicola returns to her grandmother, and the old woman starts saying something about the babies on the far end of the garden. Nicola thinks she means the statue of Iris, which she used to dance among. Yet her granny is adamant that she means a baby, and she tells Nicola to look after them. Then she dies. When later Nicola goes to her mother, she is annoyed because her mother doesn't show any emotion. When she mentioned her grandmother last word, her mother first shows something that Nicola doesn't know what it means. Yeah, her mother won't tell her anything else. And let's know a bit more about Nicola and her family. She has two daughters. The first 13 years old named Ruby and 18 years old named Macy. Ruby is very serious and stern, but Macy is lovely and so imaginative. Nicola's partner name is James, but he is not true the father of the girls. So I am wondering if she divorced or widow. Macy refers to James as a daddy, which leads me to believe that Ruby is a widow or that the girl's father is absent for some reason. And Nicola returns to the house after grandmother funeral to go through some belongings. She cannot get her grandmother last word about the baby out of her head, and her mother has only stated that her mother believed in angels. Macy playing with the fiery statue and a stick while Nicola is in the house, and she returns a few minutes later, showing Nicola a tiny bones that she refers to as a fiery bone. Nicola is troubled to see what her youngest daughter has discovered, and the next day, uh, she returns and begins digging around the fiery statue. She discovers several small bones as well as a screw. The co-suffering of event, her mother becomes angry and say that she will never see her or the girls again. The press also learned about it, and an article about the baby bones appears in the next day. Nicola is forced to speak with the girls, and Nicola takes the information in her own navy way. But Ruby is not forthcoming and resents her mother for putting her in these positions at school. The police conclude that the bones discovered in the garden belonged to Betty's children, not her husband. They decided to close case because there is no way of knowing what happened to this baby and no reason to suspect a crime was committed. Nicola discovered some photograph during her personal investigation and realized that the people in the photograph with her grandmother and mother are Betty's sister Olive and her nephew John. She learned from the internet that Olive turned 100 while ago and now live in a nursing home in a nearby village. Nicola decided to go and the nurse informed her that Olive suffered from dementia, but she is permitted to see her. The woman doesn't give her much information until her son, John, appeared and Nicola explained everything to him. Nicola and John began a family relationship from that point forward, and Ruby and Macy are delighted to have a new relative, especially since John is kind and funny. And she suggests to James that they sell their house and move to her grandmother's house. John is not excited with the idea, and when she mentioned it, Ruby, she is totally focused on James. Things are different with Ruby. Ruby has always been curious about her father, but Nicola has managed to dismiss her. Now that she is upset, Nicola claims that she became pregnant at the party. It was a one-time event and she has no idea who Ruby's father is. Ruby then tells her that she's fine is disgusting. Finally, James agreed that they should sell the house and move to Betty's house. Even though Ruby is still opposite, they put the home for sale. When Nicola and the girls go to Betty for Nicola to get something, Macy is in the garden playing with her flying fairy, and the toy falls over the wall into the neighbor garden. Nicola goes to ask Andrea, her neighbor, for permission to obtain the doll. When they do so, they discover a fairy statue that reflects the one in Betty's garden. Nicola talks to Andrea, who agrees that Nicola should call the police, and they discover there are also baby bones there. People are upset with Nicola, and she has already received two threatening notes, had her car damaged, and after the finding in Andrea's garden, someone left a big school and someone's on her doorstep. Yeah. We still get William letter about Betty's love for her and how much he enjoyed loving her in the parts about her past. In the past, told from Betty's perspective, the man is in the story is cruel and sadistic, and he continued to abuse her until she becomes pregnant. The sections, I believe, do not involve the same man. William letters are from 1944, and he is an army pilot, and I believe that other man is someone else. The police told Nicola that the babies also had to be born around 1955. Shortly after her mother, Nicola is also thinking about how grandfather could be killed this baby if he didn't even know they were his. All the mystery gets solved. It is clear that the woman who William addresses in his letter is Betty. Yet, the woman living terrified about the horrible man who raped her is Nicola's mother. Nicola gets it all wrong. John, the man she thinks is her cousin, turns out to be the man from Irene's account. When a third set of bones are found in the next door house, the police think that they belong to a child that Irene had. Nicola goes to see her mother, who look down and pale, and and she is not forthcoming and stand her ground about her opinion. The following day, Nicola is adamant to go and search her grandma's house and tries to find some answer. Maisy has a play that with her friend, and since Ruby is in a difficult mood, Nicola believes she can visit John while she is at her grandmother's. The doorbells ring while she is there, and it is her mother who wants to know how much she has discovered. Irene bells when Nicola mentions on Olive and cousin John, and I know what she was going to say. Irene claims that Olive and John were not related, their family, but uh, they just live nearby, and she admits that John was abusive to her. When Nicola says Ruby is with the man, Irene tears and commands her daughter to go find her. Nicola runs there, but they are not home. However, she recalled that she had suggested they go to the movie when she goes there. However, they are not be found. Irene calls and tell her to come get her, and she tell her where she believe he took Ruby. Thankfully, they arrive, and Nicola cuts their picnic short. And without further ado, she takes Ruby home. Ruby demands to know what is wrong, and Nicola reveals what Irene confessed. Nicola goes to the police in the next day, and after receiving a threatened letter from John, and she even persuades her mother to report John to the police for what he did to her all those years ago. Following Irene's testimony, John is arrested, and the nursing home calls Nicola to inform her that Olive wishes to speak with Irene. So the two women leave, and the old lady tells them how Betty brought the baby to her because she had a cousin who would adopt the child. However, it was obvious that the baby was John's, and when her husband arrived and turned her back, he squished the poor baby with a caution. As a result, the baby was buried in the garden. I have to admit that I find this part hard to believe because Olive was dementia. So explaining things so clearly here seems a little fishy. All of her mother's story gave Nicola the courage to expose something she had kept hidden from everyone. The first person she tells is James, and her secret involves Ruby conceptions. She was completely smashed, so she decided to lie down and stab. So she chose to blame herself rather than telling the truth. And James thinking that Ruby should know the truth. But in my opinion, telling a 13 years old girl that she is the result of her mother being raped in it is not the best decisions. Nicola tell her, and naturally she reacts with hostility and anger. I cannot blame her, but little by little she comes around, and at the end of the book, she and Nicola finally reach an understanding. And I like the part when Ruby tells James that she wants him to be her official father, so uh, she should adopt her. Okay, I think that is enough for me to review my novel that I have read. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye.